Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and welcome back to the situation report for the day of 1167 for the 5th of May. So as usual, press the subscribe button and press the like button and be careful, don't get sniped by the DPA, not DPA, by the YouTube sniper. The YouTube sniper is taking out our subscribers, one by one without them knowing. So make sure that you press the revive button and revive and reincarnate into a subscriber again. So we're going to jump straight to the Kursk, sorry, not Kursk, Sumy front. So we come back to this to the north first, and then we do clockwise direction. Big development over in the Tetkino region. So this one is part of this western part of the previous Kursk front. The Ukrainians, as they are losing the Belgorod incursion, they started to try to attack into a different region. This time around, they are attacking Tetkino. According to Ryba, the pro-Russian source reported that the Ukrainians tried to attack from several directions against Tetkino, and but according to the Russians, they did not work. So Ukrainians probably attacked from multiple directions like this, and so the Russians managed to hold their ground at Tetkino. There is a geolocation of an armored vehicle hit by FPV drone, clearly showing this possible thing that is currently happening according to the Russian side. So does slightly corroborate the report. So this is a very interesting development as the Ukrainians try to get more cards. Like they are spending lives to get cards. I'm not even sure what's the point right now. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, okay, let's say you take Tetkino, then what's next? Like, I really don't get it. So anyway, there is another geolocation of drone strike on Ukrainian armored fighting vehicle, just south of Novi Put. So I wonder if this is actually a bigger operation. They are trying to go for Klushkovo again. If there's an attack coming in this direction and then they try Tetkino, isn't this a bit late? Like, remember I talked about this potential attack towards Glushkovo, and where they can cut off this entire territory while the Ukrainians have a position around here previously. So the time the front line looks like this. So, but yeah, it's a bit super late to do this right now, and yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the Ukrainian command thinking about. Yeah, it is. I would have sacked whoever who suggested that if I'm Zelensky, but no, I'm not Zelensky. Luckily, I'm not Zelensky. I still want to live my life. So anyway, over in the Kursk sector, we have fighting reported towards Saki, and there is a geolocation of Russian forces inside Gornau. So that this geolocation just confirmed that the Russians are indeed over here. Nothing particularly unique about that. And then there's nothing really over at the Belgorod sector. No reports along there. So this is a very interesting report, I would say. So let's see how this continues to play out. We move on to the next front line, which is the Kharkiv front. This is Kharkiv city, and over at the Kharkiv front, we have Russians attack in 3 different sectors. So they attack over at Velika Pisarivka, over in the region near Kozacha Lopan at Hraniv, and they have also continued their skirmishes with the Ukrainians at Voshansk. So this is the 3 regions that is some kind of operation or attack on Ukrainian positions. But that's all. Nothing new about this. So that's all for this Kharkiv front. We move on to the next front line, which is the Voreshna front. So this is Voreshna over here. This is Voreshna, and there is fighting being reported over at Kayamka and Kukivka region. So over at Kayamka, there is a Ukrainian mapping update. So Deep State UA have updated the mapping to show that the Russian forces have captured more grounds. Sorry for the slow loading of the map. It's not my fault. Yeah, it's Google's fault. So anyway, the Russian forces attack. Let me refresh. It's disturbing. Yeah, it loads now. I think it's because one of my YouTube tabs, which is loading a very long video, is interrupting the internet flow. So anyway, the Russian forces have taken positions along the Oskil River, and basically taking all of these cliffs. I'm not sure, hilly region along the Oskil River, facing the Ukrainians, probably over in the forest. This is the forest called the Vurukina. Or I probably mispronounce it, but yeah, you know me. So this is Kanyamka. So this is the area where the Russian forces have secured the Oskil River and expanded control in this sector. So mainly that's all. This is just a Ukrainian concession about this. The Russian claims of Kanyamka capture is still not fully established by geolocations or Ukrainian concessions. So that's it about here. Further in the south, we have fighting reported towards Kutkivka. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, so this attack might be happening, but we have no other intel regarding this. So that's all for this the Vereshna front, and we move on to the Kupiansk front. So this is Kupiansk, and fighting is reported towards Kupiansk. There is also fighting reported in the southern flank at Novoosinovo and Khrushchevka. So this north-south combined operation continues, but not much to talk about. So we move on to the next front line at Borova front. So this is Borova front. This is Borova. Fighting is reported at Zarizove, and that's it. There's nothing happening over on the eastern flank. So yeah, went a little quiet, I would say. We move on to the next front line at the Liman front. So this is Liman. In Russian is Krasny Liman, or Crispy Lemon in DPAN. So over in the northern flank, at the northern sector, we have fighting reported at Kharkivka, Novomikhailivka, Nove, Zelena Dolena, and towards Karpivka. So strategically, nothing particularly special about this. This is pretty much more or less the same thing. Over in the southern flank, we have fighting reported at Koloziazi and Merne. So the Russians are doing this operation, trying to fan out down to Stavsky and towards the northern flank of Zarishny. The Russians could also potentially attack directly into Zarishny from the south of Yampolivka. So this is doable. So that's about it in this sector. And we move on to the Siversk front. So this is Siversk. And so the main operation, the main fighting is mainly over in the northern sector. So we zoom in a bit. So we have some updates in this sector. Fighting is mentioned at Serebianka and also at Kharkivka. There's a geolocation of Russian forces expanding their zone of control into the depth of into the center south of Kharkivka. And the Ukrainian mapping have updated to eliminate part of this impossible salient over in the south of Bilohorivka. And so the Russian forces have fully taken the Zolotarivsky forest, as well as the full control over the chalk quarry. And by the look of it, I think the Russians may even have control over this tree line around here. It is possible, but if it's not the Ukrainian holding this position, it's not impossible. But it does looks very precarious, because the Ukrainians would be holding such a position around here. Yeah, it does look like they can get pincered anytime. So that's the current situation over at Bilohorivka, Kharkivka, and Syrianka at the Siversk front. And we move on to the next front line, which is the Bakhmut front. So yeah, we go on to the Bakhmut front. So this is Wagner land, Bakhmut front. There's nothing over in the north all the way to the central part. Even Chasivya was not mentioned, which is a surprise. The only mentions is over in the south. In this southern Bakhmut, southern flank, which is very closely related to the operation at Torex, which is why I'm still considering whether to plot this part into the New York front as part of the Torex sector. Anyway, in this region, Russian forces are attacking at Ozyarenivka, Kudyumivka, and towards Bilahora. So there is this operation trying to push towards the Torak sector, and this is part of this wider pincer operations. Like there's this operation that's currently happening, right? And the Russians are attacking in this way over in this area here. So there's this clamping down on the Ukrainian forces from both sides. So while it looks quite difficult from the Russian perspective, if you imagine that you are the Ukrainians and you try to defend this and try to deploy your troops, you're going to find that your task is just as difficult as the Russians one. So there's no clear advantage on either side, and both is going to have some very, very difficult operations in this sector. And we move on to the New York front. So this is the reborn New York front, so we go on to the eastern part, the Torak sector. So the fighting mainly over here still remains to be at Dilievka, Krimsky, and in the Battle of Torak. So the situation within the Torak city is still pretty messy at this moment. As you can see from the mapping, it looks a bit dirty. It's all over the place, and this is already ignoring some of the Ukrainian claims around this sector. If you add in the Ukrainian claims in that sector, it's going to get even more dirty and more messy. So, but we shall wait and see how this continues to play out. Over in Plashievka, there is a Russian airstrike on Ukrainian position over here. Then and yeah, like I said in a long time ago, maybe around 1 year now, the Russians has really get really good at providing air support, particularly tactical air support. Like they wasn't this good in the early part of the war, but now they are really good. And nowadays also don't seem to see a lot of the Sukhoi 25 launching the rocket pods. Like they do still use it, but it's not as much. Like it looks like it, or maybe it's just so boring. But because they have done it so much, like they don't even bother take videos of it. Like recently, I just only saw the helicopters, launching the rocket pods, and that is one of the very rare instances that I saw it. Like some of these, things that used to be very fascinating is no longer being posted. Like people are just like bored of it. It's like yet another of the Sukhoi 35 launching rockets. So what? It might be that kind of situation. I'm not sure. Over in the New York sector or the Zoria sector, because New York really isn't really a battlefront right now. Okay, so we call it the Zoria sector. There's fighting reported as Sukabalka region, as well as Staromykolivka. The battle for Staromykolivka currently happening, and there is mention of Zoria. The mention of Zoria is a bit difficult to really ascertain. It's mentioned by the Russian Defense Ministry. They say that they improve tactical position, inflict fire damage on Zaria. But the thing is that usually I will map it. I can map it as an attack. It could potentially be attacking coming from Sukabalka. They could also be coming from the Alexandropil region. So I'm not entirely sure. Tentatively, I'm still going to put it as a shelling but I think in the very near future we might have to change this to an attack by the Russian forces. And over on this the western flank of the New York front, we have some updates regarding the regions around here at Novopetrovka. So there's fighting reported in the Vodyane Druhi region. Fighting is reported at Novopetrovka. Geolocation of Russian forces in the west of Tarasivka was noted, leading to some frontline change in this sector. Although it could be very tempting to just draw the line like this as taken by Russian control, but I try to be a bit more conservative because if you look at the mapping, there is still potential positions that the Ukrainians could be holding defense positions, and this might not necessarily be under Russian control, and of course some of these points. So an attack coming directly out of Tarasivka does make sense. So this is why I map it in this way. So and then we move on to the Pokrov front. So this is Pokrov, and so over in the Minograd sector. So I'm trying to see whether how much I can fit in. Not much. Let me see where in the Pokrov sector, to the Lysivka. So yeah, I can just nice fit in enough, just enough. Okay, so this is Minohrad, this is the Minohrad sector. Fighting is reported at Malinivka, which the Russian forces yesterday we have located them to be inside already. Fighting is reported in the region of Novotoretsk, Frodivka, as well as towards Minohrad. So this is the main actions around the Minohrad sector. The main risk of operation is for the Ukrainians is over through Myrolyubivka and through Melanivka. This is the two areas that the Russians could actually make a breakthrough. This front line here is likely to do anything. This is going to be static, so there's something to watch. And so over in the Pokrov sector, yeah, can I even, yeah, I can't even do much. Like I have, okay, let's do this. There's Pokrov sector. So fighting is reported towards Novopalivka and Shevchenko. The Russians today, just hours ago, declared that they have captured Lisivka or Lisovka, and this is now claimed to be captured by the Russian forces. This comes right after the Ukrainian mapping have claimed that they have taken this position. Like this is now this Ukrainian claim. They claim that they have taken this position. Instead, the Russians the next day declared that they have captured the entire town or the city town. Yeah, it's a town. So this is a massive contradiction. So we shall wait and see whether there is geolocations to confirm the Russian claims. So we move on to this side. So yeah, so this side I'm going to call it a different front line. You see, this is south. Okay, so over on the western flank, the Russian forces are attacking at Udashny, Novosahiyevka and Uspenivka. So the Russians are still pushing very, very close to the border of Dnipropetrovsk and Donetsk. Very, very close right now. The closest distance is around 4.5 kilometers. So definitely, the Ukrainians are desperately trying to prevent this from happening because the Ukrainians fight with the primary objective of imagery, like the PR. The image is more important than the actual battlefield considerations. By the look of it, like I said in the Sumy front, the attack over on what's the freaking place again? I forgot. The attack on Tetkino makes zero sense to me. Like there is zero reasons that they should be attacking Tetkino, but they did it anyway. So it just shows that the image, the branding is more important than actual battlefield effectiveness. So this is why they are also doing their best to defend this line as much as they can. And over in this southern flank, the Russian forces are attacking at Kotelivka, Troitsky, and Bodanivka. So this is even closer. The Russians are only 2.65 or 2.5 kilometers away from the border. So things are really looking really bad. And the more the Ukrainians try to do their best to defend a certain place to prevent a PR defeat, the more they will find themselves being grinded away, because the Russians know this about the Ukrainians, and it's basically like a trap. Like they know that you're gonna keep coming back, and they just lay traps and just destroy all these forces that keep going into this trenches or positions that is already bombed out. And it is really an antithesis to modern warfare, where we prioritize mobility. Like we always talk about maneuver warfare. There's nothing maneuverish about all these things. And the thing about maneuver warfare is also that if one side decided not to fight maneuver warfare and they decided to go World War I style trench line defense, then the attacker side will find it hard to do maneuver warfare because there's no place to maneuver anyway. So then it comes into an attrition war. So this is also what we are seeing right now. Like the maneuver warfare the Ukrainians did successfully do was during the first initial offensive operations into the Kursk region. That was pretty effective. They did manage to capture a lot of grounds, But yeah, but the problem then would be to hold ground and try to go further. And if you don't have enough depth, like what happened to the Ukrainians, then you can't go even further. Then you have to stop. Once you have to stop, you have to consolidate position. Then you go back to the static front line, and then you get grinded away again. So which is why, like I said, no, the entire 2023 counteroffensive is just wasted. Imagine they use the entire force to do an incursion into Russian territory, like which is what I advocated. That would be so much more effective. Oh, so anyway, over in the Koma front, this is Koma, and we faint over here at the Andriivka front because it's Komatos. So we have fighting reported at Andriivka, Constantinople, Bahatir, as well as Odradne. There is a geolocation over here at Novo-Ukrainka. APC was destroyed allegedly. So yeah, so that's all for this sector. Over in the central sector, we have the Russians attacking towards Koma right now, probably coming from Dnipro and Kiev, and there is also fighting reported towards Fedorivka. So it could be, so I put shelling because initially I mapped the Russian report first, and then the Ukrainians actually talk about Koma themselves, which is a bit of a surprise. They say that the Russians try to storm Koma, so which means that the Russians have now started this new operation going up the river, which they have paused for a while because of consolidation needed for the places that they have conquered. So now this push north is starting again. So we shall continue to monitor the situation here. In the flanks, over in the Shevchenko's sector, fighting is reported at Bulatske, Privyone, as well as Novosilka. Nothing new about this part. Over in the southern side, we have fighting reported at Rivnopil and Novopil. The Russians are just next to Novopil right now. In case you missed yesterday's report or the frontline changes report, Russian forces is just next to Novopil. We are talking about like very, very next, like 200, 300 meters. So the Russians' attack into Novopil is definitely probably ongoing right now. So that's all from the Koma front. And we move on to the next front line, which is the Zaporizhia front. This is Zaporizhia. This is the Zaporizhia front. The Russian forces continue to attack in all sectors. Over in the Huepole sector, we have mention of Vysoke. According to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, some fighting around here still persists. And then we move on to the Orikhiv sector. At the Orikhiv sector, fighting is reported at Malatomashka, Novodanilivka, and Novoandriivka. So this strategically nothing really changed. This part has always been a active fighting front line. And then we have this potential incursion into Malatomashka, where the Russian forces previously was geolocated to have entered into this settlement. So we shall see how this continue to play out. We move on to the Orikhiv sector. This is the Kayamsky sector. This is Kayamsky, and at this sector, the Russian forces continue their main offensive. With fighting reported still in the region of Stepove and Malishebaki and towards Palivka. Kayamsky is also mentioned, so we shall see how this continue to play out in this Kayamsky sector as we move on to the last front line at Kherson. Don't leave. No, don't leave. No. I know you guys, if I put Kherson in the last front line, you all will like, no, immediately quit because you don't want to watch anymore. Charlie and Antonivka, that's it. So that's it for the Kherson front. So happy birthday to you if your birthday today, and press the like button, subscribe. Like I say, the YouTube sniper is sniping out our comrades. So we have to not give up. And also though, just on a side note regarding maybe you might find this a bit boring. Is the algorithm of the YouTube. In the past month, if you probably might have noticed that across the entire Ukraine war sector, Ukraine war daily reporting sector, military summary, Whip Union, Willy OAM or whatever, the neutral pro-Russian sphere, everybody's view has dropped a lot. And I'm now attributing this to the latest YouTube algorithm change that happened around the 1st of April, where they have starting to introduce, try to recommend more channels that you have never seen before, new channels that you have forgotten, you have subscribed but you have forgotten for a long time. They're pushing, popular channels that you have never heard before and never seen before. So this push, this recommendation push, this change in this algorithm, you probably notice in your homepage, nearly half of the top first 8 to first 10 videos are these new ones or these rare ones that you hardly watch, as YouTube try to spread out the views, and rather than causing the people to just to just watch only a few channels. And this is directly affecting the airtime for daily reporting channels, because if you post daily, then you're definitely going to bump into this problem where you're fighting for airtime. And not to mention that the competing channels, all the daily reporting channels are competing among each other, and then you now have half of the airtime being removed because they are now slotting in new channels and rare channels. So this is directly affecting the revenue and viewership of all the daily reporting channels. So this is why you see this massive drop in views, and this is definitely affecting DPA as well. So I would highly recommend you to follow DPA on Telegram. That's where I always post a link to the latest video, because YouTube may not recommend you on their homepage anymore, because it's only unless you have been watching it a lot and consistently daily. Because once you skip a certain video one or twice, then they will stop recommending to you until sometime later. So this is the main reason. And because there's lower views means there is lower revenues. So I highly urge anyone that really want me to continue to report on the Ukraine war, do support me on the Patreon, because you can also of course join the YouTube membership, but Patreon have a much smaller cut to the subscription. YouTube takes away 30% on YouTube membership, so this is something to note. And so this will help me to have this cushion to continue to report, because a lot of people have quit the Patreon. I've lost like half, maybe because I no longer put anything behind paywall, like the map. This map is now available to everybody publicly right now, and the SITREP is also available publicly to everyone. And I think I attribute that to the reason why a lot of people just want to save money and not support on the Patreon. But I do want to urge that it is pretty important to have the Patreon community to help to support DPA's operations, because if not, then this is gonna be difficult to keep up the reporting. And yeah, so anyway, I'm not gonna rant on much longer. So I just want to wish you guys a great day. So do press the like button, subscribe, as you will start to continue to see more and more changes on DPA's YouTube channels, because there's more than one channel. And as DPA will adapt to the latest algorithm, we will not give up. We will continue to operate as much as we can, but of course I need your support. And also do be mindful that there is a possibility that some of the series of videos may go into exclusive to Patreon or paying members only. Yeah, because we have to adapt, and there's a possibility that because of the lesser airtime, I would have to do that. Like, if not, then you would never see frontline history, you would never see battlefield analysis, because there's not enough airtime, as the main channel will now focus more on more edited videos and more documentary style in a way. Anyway, whatever it is, thank you for watching. Press the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next update.